girls had a rough night. I typically don't go with mandatory reciprocity with family and friends, but my angel baby has been letting me do all the dishes and all the putting away of the dishes this week. And this morning it appears his water pitcher is empty. And I'm just gonna go with a little bit of passive aggressiveness here. Yep. Pico, it's working. What you doing, baby?
Huh?
What you doing?
Putting dishes.
Oh, that's cool. To be fair, he doesn't mind doing it. It's just that his "it needs to be done" trigger is set a lot lower than mine. How's my tree bed?
Pretty good.
All these little dolls. When I was in elementary school, we bought my grandma a tree from the grocery store and they were on it. And she let me have them after Christmas and I was so excited.
Real excited.
Yep. Good morning, friends. Hello. Today's story is really exciting. Like, I'm excited because Miss Webb just got this one to the Watertown Elementary Library and she says it's really good. So I'm excited to have it. It is We Don't Eat Our Classmates by Ryan T. Higgins. Ready to start another day of remote learning. Birdies to my left. Nappers to my right. Let's do this. Freebird! No more school till January 4th. Yes! What's you doing, Kai? What's you doing? Do you like those tags? Do you like them? You playing in my clothes, guy? My Goodwill pile? Pico! Pico de gallo! He chasing his tail. Sorry, I'm eating salad. That's rude. But anyway, I can't re-record because cats don't perform when you ask them to. You have to catch it when you can. Hello, it's Doris with Aldi Books, and I'm here to chat about some books that I have read this month. Get caught up with that. So, this first book I'm like really excited to talk about because it made Obama's list of favorite books for 2020. And it won, like, I don't remember, like the Booker or something. And I didn't like it. Yes. I have an unpopular opinion. Y'all know I like everything. So, you know, for every once in a while to be able to say I didn't like a book that everybody likes is just, it's kind of a thrill. I'm just being funny. Anyway, but I really didn't like this book. So this is set on the West Coast, or the Western out West in the United States during the gold rush years, so like the 1850s, I believe. And it's a Chinese family, 2 children, the parents, the mother dies pretty quick in the book, the father is well, actually, and so the children are left, you know, to kind of fend for themselves. I think they're like 10 and 12, something like. And yeah, a lot of it is told in kind of flashbacks. There's a magical realism section that's like, what is even the purpose of that? Because it was just a ghost. There wasn't any resolution with the ghost, because the ghost was gone and the girl was like dreaming, like, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to say too much because I don't want to like spoil the story for anyone. But basically, there were a lot of things that just felt unrealistic to me, which is something that I don't normally notice. So it was glaring if I noticed it. The kids were little adults. Again, that's something that I don't always notice. So, you know, the writing style, it was very like piecemeal for a reason. Like, she was trying to write that way to make it more cryptic, you know, so that you can read into it. But it was just too dang choppy for me. Like, you couldn't settle into it. The characters were so flat emotionally. And I kind of understood the purpose of that, but I still just didn't connect at all. I didn't connect with the characters, and I don't feel like the characters connected with each other. Like, in the end of the book, when there was supposed to be like this resolution with our main character reflecting back on her sibling, I was like, I really didn't see that. You know, the things that you just saw, I didn't see those at all. Not at all. So, guy, I'm busy. Shh. Okay. What else? What else? Yeah. The author herself is, she was born in Beijing, but spent most of her life living in other parts of the world, predominantly in the United States. And I did think I could tell from her writing, her like being stuck between two worlds kind of feeling. So that was really interesting. And there are definitely beautiful passages in here. There are 3 or 4 like sweeping landscape panoramas that are just gorgeous to read. But overall, no, not so much. Then I read Marbles by Ellen Forney. I didn't even say what this was. This is, How Much of These Hills is Gold by C. Pam Zhang. I was just so excited to, you know. It was so fun. So this is Mania, Depression, Michelangelo, and Me. So, graphic novel. I have to be careful what I show you because there are some, you know, racy, there's some racy sections in here. Here's a good representation. So this is her like graphic novel imagery, and this is a reprint from her actual art journal. So this book is about an artist living the artist's life, and she finds out early on she's struggling and goes to the therapist and finds out that she is bipolar or manic depressive. And so the book is like, I think 4 years of her dealing with that and trying to find equilibrium. Her and her therapist working together with different drug regimens and other, you know, therapies. And so it's really interesting. I'm familiar with this a little bit in my family, so I knew a lot of the things she was talking about. So yeah, and she also incorporates other artists, because that's one thing she's struggling with, is worried that the drug regimens are going to affect her creativity. So that was, I think, the most interesting part for me. She does scatter in a lot of the, we don't need to see that. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. She scatters in a lot of the information about bipolar and the drugs and, you know, stuff like that. So she doesn't mask the academic portions very well into, like, she doesn't merge them into the story as well as I would have liked, but it's fine. I mean, super, like, if it's a graphic novel, so it doesn't take, you know, long. And, ooh, mercy. I better go ahead and tell you the other thing that bothered me. She's very open, which is a good thing, really good thing. But I find that quite disconcerting in a graphic novel. I've read another one or two that have been like that. Mercy. Just keep seeing. So the fact that this is a memoir and it is actually the author in these interactions in the book, in which she's quite open. Mercy, I'm just kind of done with that. Like, if I, you know, knew her in real life and read this book, I would just be like quite TMI'd. Red alert. But if you like that sort of thing, you know, you would enjoy this book. So, you know, it's just me personally. I found it incredibly awkward. So I also finished Hollow Pox, The Hunt for Morgan Crow by Jessica Townsend. This is the third in the Nevermore series. This is a middle grade fantasy series set in a, you know, a magical school setting, and they have their little adventures and, you know, the traumas that happen in magical worlds, you know, having equilibrium with their power dynamics and such. But this one, like, I don't even know how this coincidence happened, because this was published this year. So surely she'd already written this before the pandemic happened. But this book is talking about an epidemic, like a medical contagious epidemic. So it was kind of like really in the moment. But I have loved this series. This is the third again, but this one I think is my favorite thus far. I just found it incredibly charming, enjoyable read. So then these next two I thought I would like, but I like loved them, like unexpectedly loved them to that level. Like, yeah. So this one like is really atypical for me. The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. This is horror. It's a group of women in Charleston, South Carolina, who form a book club. They're reading a lot of like true crime and horror, you know, Anne Rice, In Cold Blood, those sorts of things. And there's a vampire type creature that enters into their circle, their friend circle. And yeah, horror ensues. So this, like, Grady Hendrix, his writing is just like, his dialogue is so smooth and just captures the culture and the dynamic of these, you know, 40-something ladies so well. He's so good with dialogue and interaction. Just delightful. He's witty. There were a couple places that just his word choices in the moment they were in, I mean, I just started laughing. I mean, I probably shouldn't have, and you might not have, but I thought it was so funny. This book is very gross, okay? It's really gross. Yes. Trigger warnings for like anything you can think of. It's in there. It's in there. You know, casual things like rats and bugs and spiders, oh my. And more serious issues like, you know, things happening to children and women. It's in there. So I must warn you. But okay, and the other delightful thing, just so delightful, is if you grew up in the 80s and the 90s, this is set in the early 90s, and the 90s nostalgia is real, so fun. Okay, but the thing that blew me out of the water with this book is he has written a subtle but powerful allegory for the times we're in. So basically, in a nutshell, that cross-section of white America that chooses the economy over people, that's what's in this book. At the expense of their Black neighbors and eventually their own children. It's just really, really like smacks you in the face when you see it. And it's subtle, so you know, you might not catch it, but this was really, I thought, so incredibly brilliant. So incredibly brilliant. And then I just finished this morning Showtime at the Apollo, The Epic Tale of Harlem's Legendary Theater by Ted Fox, illustrated by James Otis Smith. So this gentleman, Ted Fox, wrote this, you know, nonfiction book back in the 80s, mid-80s it was published, and then this gentleman has transformed it into this graphic novel. I have to show you how beautifully this book is constructed. So it has a dust jacket that you see here, and gorgeous end papers, by the way. But also the naked hardback is just stunning as well. So I loved it. So this follows the neighborhood of Harlem and the Apollo Theater when it opened, and some theaters prior to that were like the beginnings of that musical movement in Harlem, New York City. So from the early 1900s, like around 1912-ish maybe, and then I think the Apollo opened in the 1930s, and so it goes through the 80s, you know, when the original book was published, and then there's kind of an updated epilogue sort of chapter about the Apollo reopening, because the Apollo actually closed down for several years in the late 80s, I guess. But, you know, you see just, you know, civil rights issues through that like basically 100 years almost. And I mean, not almost, 100 years. So civil rights issues that were going on. You see the transformation of music in this area, just all the various styles that were developed and flourished in the Black community during this time, and how important the Apollo was to the community there and to the culture. It's just a delightful book. It opens up with this elderly gentleman who is living in an apartment upstairs in the abandoned Apollo. And the author has found him and is interviewing him. Here he is. What's his name? Is Thomas, I believe. I don't see his name. Maybe you see it there, but yeah. So, and then, you know, the author interviews a lot of different people, like the owners, the Schiffmans. He was able to talk to and get their memorabilia. And then I think, is it Dionne Warwick that he talks to first? I can't read fast enough, but anyway, I love this. So if you're interested in any of that, you would, I think, really enjoy this. It's a great timeline of Harlem and the civil rights movement and music during those times. Really awesome. So anyway, I am off break. I'm hoping to just blast through some more reads this week. So stay tuned. And I have jury duty tomorrow. What? Yeah, I'm so excited. Anyway, and I'm not being sarcastic. I love jury duty. It's so cool. Anyway, I will check in again. I don't know if I'm going to have time to make a video tomorrow because, you know, jury duty, but maybe Tuesday. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll be back soon. Bye.